going on? Just a short little rainy update on the Grand Marquis, the $600 daily. Put this steering wheel cover on because I don't know if you could see it in the last video, but this was not in great shape. Otherwise, just been trying to keep it reasonably tidy in here. And, just taking care of it. I vacuum it every couple weeks and, stuff like that. But I just did something to this car that you could say is the first mod, because it's, I'll just show you. Alright. Put a set of 18s from a 2012 Mustang GT on it. And the reason I got these is because they were cheap. And I wanted something that was different, but I didn't want something like super flashy. Like, I didn't want this to be, a ghetto cruiser or anything. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but that's just not the look I wanted to go with. So I went with these because they're kind of more subtle. You could almost think that maybe there's, some sort of package. They're subtle. They're not over the top. That's why I went with those. Other than them being a good deal, because it was a very good deal. But it's not the first set of wheels I've had in this car. I put the FRs from the Mustang on them before, but I took those off because I just decided to sell them, and it was just a little too hoopty for me with those. But another thing I did, and this is another thing I'm not sure if you would have seen in the first video I made about this car because it was kind of snowy, but the rear bumper, the paint was all, scraped to hell. And I just kind of rattle canned it. I sanded it down fairly smooth, all the edges, and I rattle canned it. It doesn't look bad, but I'm definitely going to go hit it with some finer sandpaper and get it more smooth and, do a better job. And with the front bumper, I actually want to take that off and pop out the trim and actually take that and, spray it proper. But the rear bumper, I'm probably just going to leave at a decent rattle can job. And then I want to get that dent taken out of the door. But otherwise, plans for this car, I don't know. I'm pretty happy with it as is, but once I finish the Mustang, which I've got some parts coming for that. Well, I ordered a set of drag wheels for that. Once I do that, I'm going to do the drive shaft, I'm going to do an intercooler, and I'm going to do, hopefully in the springtime, I'm going to get some cams in it. But at that point, it's going to be pretty much done. And then once that car's done, I'm going to start doing some things to this. Plans are maybe some 373 or 355 rear gears with a limited slip, maybe a tune, intake, exhaust, maybe a 5-speed swap. Haven't really decided if that's something I actually want to do, at least on this car, because I've also thought about selling this car and buying a nicer Grand Marquis to, do more stuff to, because it's not that this car is a total pile of crap, because it isn't, but there's just things like the door and these bumpers. This car's never going to be like a show car, but that's not really what I want for it. Really what I want for this car is just, at most, or at least, I just want it to be, a fun little cruiser that I can take out and have fun in. But yeah, we'll see how far I want to go with that. I think I'm going to end up doing at least the rear end, a tune, and some exhaust. But I don't know how far. I think ADTR sells an intake tube pretty cheap for this. Get that and like a drop-in filter, few horsepower. Sharpen her up a little bit. nothing crazy. And I think they also sell ported intake, not intake elbows, throttle body elbows. So I might go something like that. But all in all, nothing crazy planned for this car. Just it's gonna be the daily for a while, and in the springtime I might pick something else up, and this might become, you know, the secondary cruiser. But we'll go in here and I'll talk a little about the other car. This is me Mustang 07 GT. Pretty much as it was in the last video. An exception of one thing. An exception of one thing, I actually went through and hooked up the IAT relocation, so that's all good to go now. But otherwise, it's exactly as you last saw it. I haven't done anything to it since I got the supercharger, and to be fair, I don't really need to do anything else to it. But I think I do want to put the intercooler on to just make more consistent power, and with that is going to come a couple extra pounds of boost. That, along with the drive shaft, and in the springtime I'll probably do cams. All that stuff should put me right where I want to be for power. So I don't think I'll need to do a whole lot more. And I've got the wheels that I ordered for it are the SVE Race Stars. Well, I say Race Stars. They're just the SVE drag wheels, which are basically the Race Stars. And they're 17 by 4.5 up front, 15 by 10 in the back. Hopefully that'll help me get the power down a lot better, because this car, if you go from like a 40 roll, it doesn't really have any issues with these tires. But really anything lower than that, like if I want to do any sort of playing around in first gear, this thing just lights up the tires, which, fair enough, that can be fun, but that's just not what I want. I want to be able to put the power down consistently, and with the intercooler, I want to be able to make the power consistently, which is what that's going to help with. And the drive shaft is going to help me, you know, keep things together. But that's really all I got planned for this thing. After that round of mods, intercooler, drive shaft, and cams, and the wheels, I don't really have any other plans for this car. That's pretty much going to be done. The only other thing I could really do to it would be long tube headers, and the power those would make, I'm not even sure if I'd want to do that, because that's a lot of money for what would be like 25 horse. I just don't know if it's worth it, because that's not something I want to install myself, and it's like $800 for the parts. I was quoted like $600. It's like $1,500 for long tube headers, and to me that's just not really worth it. I would rather, you know, I'd be paying probably about the same to get my intercooler done for everything I need for that, but I would be getting not only the 30 or 40 wheel horse gain from the intercooler, but, you know, a couple pounds of boost. So, and then the drive shaft is about half that much, and that's not really, it's not really going to make more power. It's just going to be less drivetrain loss. And then the wheels, those are just going to help me with traction and I guess looks, but I'm happy with where it's at right now. There's just a little bit further I want to go. In the wintertime, this thing's going up on stands. This front end's coming off. It's getting the intercooler, which I don't think will be too hard of a job for me to do on my own. Really all I got to do, take all this off, take all that off, take the blower off, change the pulley, twist it, put it back on, and run the piping, bracket the intercooler to the radiator, and clamp everything down. It's not going to be too difficult, at least not with the air-to-air setup that I want to go with. But that's really all I got for this car. I don't really have any other plans for it, except for finishing up the last few things. That's all I got for you.